Hey everybody, this is Mark, and this was a presentation I was trying to do on the live broadcast for Temple of Lilith, and having technical difficulties getting me added. Probably my setup. I was trying to Google, couldn't figure out how to get it to work. So I thought I'd record this so there is something for y'all to see. So today I'm going to talk about Lilith, and then a little bit about Circle of the Dark Mother and the Dark Gnostic tradition, and a little bit about me so you know who I am. So first of all, I have a master's in theology. I'm a certified professional coach. I'm also a consecrated bishop in the independent and Gnostic tradition. I've been a Gnostic, a Kabbalist, and a devotee to Lilith for over 23 years, but I've been a student of many traditions. I have studied Welsh witchcraft, I've studied Buddhism, Hinduism, a number of things, but my most focus has been Gnosticism, Kabbalah, and Lilith. I'm the author of Embracing Lilith, also Embodying Lilith, a Gnostic Kabbalah of Lilith, and hopefully soon, Empowering Lilith, Fueling the Lilith Within. My email is markw.ohio@gmail.com. And the website for my group, Circle of the Dark Mother, is circulus-matrim.com. This is Circle of the Dark Mother. You can sign up for our newsletter. You can go to my store and find classes. And you can also check out our YouTube channel, which has a lot of good presentations. So when I start, I really have to talk a little bit about the history of Mesopotamia, because that's really key to understanding Lilith. If you look to the right-hand side, there's a timeline, basically just to show how ancient Mesopotamian culture is. And then at the bottom, there's a picture that shows where Mesopotamia is located, just north of the Persian Gulf, between the Euphrates and Tigris rivers, and basically around where current day Iraq is and up into the southern part of Turkey. The history of Mesopotamia is really ancient, with evidence of civilization starting from about 8,000 BCE. Now, that's a Stone Age culture, but that's about when the first peoples start sort of colonizing that area. The only other cultures that existed almost as early as Mesopotamia are China, Egypt, and the Indus Valley in India. The Sumerian period starts just after 4500 BCE. Writing begins in cuneiform on clay tablets around 3400 BCE. Cuneiform is a set of characters that represent syllables or some placeholders for other ideas. So it's not letters like in English. The style of writing was used across the Middle East for centuries. Mesopotamia has had several cultures and languages throughout its history. The earliest that we know of that's a complete culture is Sumerian, which is an isolate language group not related to any others. The Sumerian people called themselves the black-headed people, and it's really unclear where they came from. It could have been north, or it could have been even from India. The next culture was Akkadian, which Akkad, or the Akkadians, came from a little bit north of Mesopotamia. Their language is Semitic, which is related to Hebrew and Arabic. Then the Assyrians came in. They came from even a little bit further north. And again, they speak a Semitic language that's related to Akkadian, related to Hebrew, related to Arabic. And then Babylon was really just a city that became very prevalent, and people outside of Mesopotamia called it the Babylonian Empire. But really, it was still Mesopotamia. It was still the land of Sumer and Akkad, and they had a resurgence of Akkadian language, which again, Hebrew and Arabic related. In 587 BCE, the Jewish religious and political leaders were captured and exiled to Babylon, where they lived for about 60 years, which was multiple generations. The only other thing to know is around 50 BCE, the Persians, actually it was around 520, I believe, the Persians came and conquered the whole area, took it over, and started wiping out the culture. So the Mesopotamian Lilitu Lilith's first appearance in the written record is in the Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh. She is inhabiting a tree that the goddess Inanna, later known as Ishtar, wishes to make furniture from. She later appears in several texts and is referenced as Inanna's handmaiden, a deity who would bring people to Inanna's temple. Her name in Sumerian was represented by the characters Dim, Mi, and G. This is significant because the word for gods and goddesses in Sumerian is dim.me.r. Dim.me are not syllables, they're actually stand for something, and it's pronounced Kamad. So her name would have been pronounced something like Kamadji. This particular form of G is the name in this name means night. And that's because there's several different syllables of G. This is actually G6, but because she is Kamad with this G as the suffix, it means that she's of the night. So she would be the deity of the night. Later in Akkadian, Assyrian, and Babylonian, she is called Lilitu and is associated with the night, sexuality, and storms. Her name literally means Lil, wind, and Itu, moon. So sort of wind of the moon. There's a lot of confusion over her being a deity because of several associations. Lilu and Lilim, incubi and succubi from the Mesopotamian region, were actually wind spirits. These could have been her children based on later mythology, but we just don't know. But they are not deities, they're spirits. And then Arda Lily is a specific succubae who is a storm spirit. And her name means handmaiden of Lily. And it could be that she's also some kind of servant of Lilitu. Lilitu is also called a demon. However, in Mesopotamia, deities could be demons, as it means a deity or spirit who didn't follow the established rules of the gods. Several deities were also considered to be demons in Mesopotamia. So it's not like in Western culture where if you're a demon, you can't be a deity. In Mesopotamia, it was totally acceptable to be both. Evidence to support her being a goddess is the fact that she appears in the Sumerian Assyrian god list. This contains a list of about 170 gods or goddesses. The list is written in cuneiform, and it is all deities in the Assyrian pantheon with their Sumerian names. Lilith is included with the Sumerian name Dim-mi-gi, again pronounced Kamadgi, but with the Assyrian name Lilitu. If she was not a goddess, she would not be in this list. And then the nearby Curians, they lived a little bit north and east of Assyria, also used cuneiform writing. In cuneiform, there's a character that looks like a star. It's like a multi-pronged star, and is a shortcut for Dim-mi-ar, or Kamad-ar, meaning deity. The Hurrians had a goddess whose name was written as that star, G. So her name means goddess of the night. And this points to another manifestation of Lilitu, who is considered a goddess. The Hebrew Lilith. As stated in the history section of this presentation, the Jewish elite were exiled in Babylon for multiple generations. Even though they tried to maintain their culture and religious separation, they were influenced by the culture around them. For example, the Song of Solomon in the Old Testament, or Song of Songs as it's sometimes called, is almost directly a parallel to a hymn to Ishtar. There's also other things like a lot of the anointing with oil. It's the same formula, but in Mesopotamia, it uses their gods and goddesses, where in the Jewish texts, it uses Yahweh and Elohim. Many of the deities from Babylon were picked up by the Jewish people and turned into demons or other figures within their tradition. One such instance is Lilitu, goddess of night and sex, who is brought over as a demon of prostitution. Mesopotamian culture was very open sexually, and even had temple prostitutes, priests and priestesses, who served the people coming to the temple. This kind of prostitution is not the way we think of it in Western culture. It meant to be a servant to the god or goddess and also a servant to the people. Sometimes that did involve sacred sexuality, but that wasn't all the time. The temple priests and priestesses called the Galah for Inanna slash Ishtar were actually bisexual and gender fluid. So very possibly similar for Lilith, although she was not in the main temples because she was not worshipped within a city. Again, because she didn't follow the rules. The Jewish culture was very closed to sexuality and considered sexual women as unclean and ungodly. Lilith was a perfect character to embody this view and become an insidious demon to them. Lilith is first mentioned in Jewish midrash, which are extra biblical texts, as a female demon. Later, she is called the first wife of Adam and the sometimes consort of some of the archdemons, such as Samiel and Ashmedai. Ashmedai in Western culture is called Asmodeus. Her myths grow and change over the centuries. She is also then associated with killing babies, something that was brought into Jewish lore based on the Mesopotamian goddess demon Lamashtu, who ate babies. That was not Lilith's characteristic, but it was brought in as they syncretized Lamashtu to Lilith. In Kabbalah, Lilith then becomes the dark feminine aspect of God and is said to be the perfect partner for the primordial universe of Adam Kadmon, a universe of total unity. And she is also said to be the sometimes consort of God Most High. So why the first wife of Adam? In Genesis 1:27, it says God created male and female in the image of God. So Elohim, actually a feminine name for God, created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. The he pronoun was because of the translation into English. But in Genesis 2:7 through 2:22, it says God created Adam and then created Eve by removing a rib from his side. This rib thing is actually a mistranslation. It actually says that Eve was removed from his side, not from his rib. And the actual text is, then Yahweh, the masculine form of God, formed a man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And the man became a living being. And then in Genesis 2:22, then he, Yahweh, made a woman from the rib he had taken out of the man, and he brought her to the man. So Genesis 1 seems to say that there was a man and woman created at once. And then in Genesis 2, it says that there's a man with no wife, and they create a woman based on taking her out of him. So what the Jewish midrash starts to talk about is the idea that Lilith is the first wife, and she spurns Adam because he's a jerk, basically, and wants to dominate her, and she takes off. And so God has to create a new partner. Also, a little bit about Lilith's name in Hebrew. Her name is composed of the letters Lamed, Yod, Tav, but written right to left, as you can see in this graphic at the bottom. The Lamed is all the way to the right because Hebrew is read the opposite way from English. Lamed's basic meaning is ox goad. Yod means spirit of God, and Tav, its basic meaning is really a mark, but unification is one of its properties. And this is because in Hebrew, the letters don't just have a sound, but they actually have a meaning. So Lilith's name actually means that which drives you to God. And they do that twice for emphasis, and ends in unification. So this explains her purpose in Jewish lore as a force, whether she's being merciful or severe. She is a force that pushes us on our path to enlightenment. And she is literally the embodiment of this transformational force. So who is Lilith today? As we've shown, Lilith is a very complex figure who has survived for at least 5,000 years, probably much longer. We only have written record for about 5,000 years. She has been merged into several cultures to fit what the people wanted her to be. You absolutely cannot put Lilith in a box and expect her to act in any particular way. She is a goddess, a demon, and the Dark Mother. Because Lilith had had so many roles and so many manifestations, I believe that she will come to us as we need her and how we see her. If you call upon a dark demonic figure, you will get the Lilith of Jewish mythology, who's really severe and dark. If you call upon the goddess of night, you will get Lilith of Mesopotamia. And if you call upon the Dark Mother, you will get the powerful goddess demon who embodies all the personalities of this amazing deity. My view is that Lilith is about transformation. She wants us to help us be the best us. That means she wants to help us break from social norms and what is expected of us so that we can be who we truly are unapologetically. Sometimes we need a dark entity to help us be strong and stand up to the oppression. Sometimes we need our loving mother who will kick our butt into gear if we aren't listening, so that we do what is best for us. She is all of this and more. So Circle of the Dark Mother is a dark Gnostic tradition. We're Gnostic because we believe both in rational thought and experiential knowledge that sometimes manifests internally and spontaneously. We are dark Gnostic because we focus on shadow work and including anything that works. So we use meditation, ritual, Kabbalah, traditional witchcraft, and basically anything else that works for us and our spiritual path. We work with both the right-hand path and the left-hand path, both the bright and the dark tree, and with anything that works for us. So we're really not right hand or left hand, we're both. We're ambidextrous, I guess, when it comes to the path. We're not limited to any pantheon, any religion, or any set of practices. We are anti-dogma, so we have set of the teachings that are conveyed, but never meant to be the way or the truth for any particular individual. They are guideposts and examples to spark movement in our practitioners. Many of us work with the Dark Mother Goddess, thus the name of our group, but individuals can work with any deities or none, their choice. Joining our group is completely free and we're not exclusive. So if you're part of some other group, that's totally cool. We like to share ideas and let people be as involved or not. For more information, watch our videos on YouTube or check out our website, which is circulus-matrim.com. You can send a message to me. You can be added to our newsletter. You can go to my store, my Shopify store. Spotify, that's not the right thing. The Shopify store has my books. It also has classes that you can download. We also have classes on our website that are free. So the only thing that costs is if you consume something like books or some of the more in-depth videos. Everything else is free. So if you want to, great. If you don't, that's okay too. And I love to just talk about our Dark Mother Lilith and anything with spirituality. Take care. Hopefully that was helpful.